Have a seat and hold on tight. Because the ultra-high performance tire that first raised the bar just crushed it again. With better traction, more stability, improved wet braking. For the modern muscle car, it's the next level of performance. Step up to the all-new Nitto 555 G2. Check it out at nittotire.com. It's what's next. Watch out, road. You're about to get stomped on. With the next generation of ultra-high performance tire. For the modern muscle car, it's a new level of traction, stability, and wet braking capabilities. Step up to the all-new Nitto 555 G2. Check it out at nittotire.com. It's what's next.
Live from the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network. This is Midwest Horsepower Hour with Damian B. Where we believe dirt is for racing and asphalt is for getting there. Go elbows up for the next hour and have a cold one while we talk all things dirt. It's Damian and you, and it's time to talk dirt racing. Welcoming your host, Damian B.
Good evening, everybody. Happy January the 3rd, 2016. First weekend of the new year. Hope everybody had a great holiday and a safe new year. Let's get down to business. Brass tacks, what we got on the show tonight. Got a hell of a lineup for you tonight. Lost a little bit of history down to Talladega Short Track over the new year. A lot of you may have seen on social media or wherever you get your racing news from by now that they lost the tower that they have down there that sits in between the grandstands due to a fire. And some kind of speculated, well, is this going to throw a monkey wrench in our plans to run the Ice Bowl? Well, we're going to answer those questions here in just a couple minutes. As owner promoter Lynn Phillips is going to be on with us to talk about the devastation that the track's faced and how they're rising to overcome and still do everything within their power to bring the 25th annual Ice Bowl to us. So I know I talked with Lynn on the phone earlier, and these guys have been working around the clock to get everything cleaned up, taken care of, putting in some new electronic scoring, so they are definitely going full steam ahead with their racing program coming up here next week. Also, you may have heard out of Speedway, Indiana, New Year's Day, that former sprint car and open-wheel driver Greg Stabb was involved in a house fire, and they pretty much lost everything, folks. Greg was lucky to walk out of there with his wife along with his girlfriend, and everybody, if you live in the Speedway area and you happen to come across Officer Ray Hurt, pay that man a little bit of gratitude and tell him just how happy you are that he was there to save that man's life. Because without Officer Hurt, Greg Stabb may not be here to contribute to the sport that he grew up racing in and all that good stuff. He's employed by the Indy Race Parts, and yeah, they're real happy to have him still alive and here with us, as is everybody else. So we're really thinking about you, Greg, and hope you get better soon. Let's see, where else are we going tonight? We're going to go all the way down to New Zealand, and we're going to talk to Pocahontas, Illinois driver Zach Daum. He made his first trip to New Zealand this year to race there in the off-season. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about just how tough it is to race the Power Ride Midget Series, which he was back-to-back champion in 2013, 2014. He's also gearing up to get ready for the 30th annual Chili Bowl. He's going to go down to Tulsa and try to pursue himself another Golden Driller. He's had a lot of success down there in the last couple of years. He's, I think, out of the last, let's see, probably 6 or 7 years, I think he's qualified for 4 or 5 of the races, and it's very, very hard to qualify for that race at all, no matter who you are. So for him to do that, that is a big accomplishment into itself. Last night, Tulsa shootout, Brady Bacon dominated, taking home his third Golden Driller. He got out front early and pretty much had the field kept at bay all night long as he capped off another great week of racing down there in Tulsa. I know a lot of people make a big deal about the Chili Bowl, saying, it's the Daytona 500 of dirt and everything else. The entry list, I think, is somewhere around 335 cars for this year's Chili Bowl. Well, folks, the Tulsa shootout drew over 1,300 cars. So that's this night and day comparison as to what the Chili Bowl actually drew. So we're going to talk to Brady next week. He's going to be on the show talking about that big win, picking up his third Golden Driller. We're also going to talk to Double D, Dave Darlin. He's going to be on the show next week talking to us about some of his racing history in the USAC Sprint Car Series. He's going to talk to us about the spectacle that is the Chili Bowl. And that's going to be a great interview. I can't wait for that. Got a little contest going on tonight when we have Mr. Lynn Phillips on the show, talk to us about the Ice Bowl. We're going to give away a free pair of tickets to the Ice Bowl. So if you want to call in and get in on the shenanigans for those tickets, the number you need to call is 718-664-9861. 718-664-9861. Contest is simple. This is how we're going to do it. When Lynn comes on, I'll tell you when to call. First caller to get through. Guess what, folks? You are going to the Ice Bowl, compliments of the Midwest Horsepower Hour. And we should have Lynn on here in just a couple of minutes. But also on the show this evening, we're going to be talking to the owner-operator of the Swindell Group, Jeff Swindell. He's been working feverishly on coming up with these Swindell Bleeders, and I'm telling you what, folks, these things work, and the proof is in the statistics. You just take a look at how many people have actually found victory lane running these Swindell Bleeders, and they're going to pay for themselves. I think we've all had those issues before where we've had a bleeder that's not worked properly or stuck off or just hung wide open, costing somebody a feature win or a heat race win, or that's just the way it goes in racing. But these guys have really come up with a device that you can pretty much feel 100% confident that when you go out on the racetrack and you set your tire pressure, that's exactly where your tire pressure is going to be when you come back in. So these single ply tires, they heat up really quick. You just turn a lot of RPMs. I mean, you could set your tire pressure at 6, 7 pounds for a race, and within 2 laps, your tire pressure is already up to over 10, 11 pounds. Well, these guys have figured out a way to combat that and keep you in the game, so to speak, number-wise for your tires. So we're going to be talking to him. We're going to get his take on the Chili Bowl. We're going to do all those things, and we're going to get with it here. How about this? 4-time Chili Bowl champion Kevin Swindell throwing his hat into the owner ring. Going to be having a car down to Chili Bowl this year, but he won't be there as a driver. He's teamed up with Bernie Stugman of the Indy Race Parts Company, and they're going to form a team for Kevin Thomas Jr. And what they're trying to do is they want to give him the same engine package, shock package, get the setup as close to the car that Kevin would be driving himself if he were in the race, and that's definitely a great opportunity for Kevin Thomas. A little history on Thomas. He was finished third in the USAC Points Series in 2015. Had a lot of close contact with Keith Coons, and everybody in the open wheel world knows Keith Coons, definitely knows what he's talking about. So that was definitely a very good person to learn from. But a third place in any national division, especially one as tough as USAC, well, you've had a good year, sir. So can't wait to see how that shapes up. I think that could be your dark horse for the 30th annual Chili Bowl, which is going to be January 12th through the 16th down in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I would personally like to see Kevin back in a car to go for his 5th title run at the Golden Driller, but I think right now everybody just kind of Let's talk about some of the guests we're going to have coming on this evening. How about it? Mr. Zach Daum. He'll be giving us a call, like I said, from New Zealand here in a little while. He's going to shorten up his plans for racing down under. He's actually going to plan on heading home tomorrow, our time, but it's actually already tomorrow where he is. I think we're on like a day and a half time difference, so I really appreciate him taking the time to come in here with us. Check this out, folks. Guy's been racing since the age of 5. Already racked up, if my count is correct, somewhere between a couple of separate classes he's ran. He's ran 600cc micros. He's ran the Power Ride Midget Series. He's ran a lot of stuff, and he's already amassed over 25 series championships. And wow, that really says a lot. So you stop and think about it. He won the inaugural Jason Leffler Memorial, and that's it. Also on the line with us, we have Mr. Sports, Mr. CJ Jason McMillan. How's it going, sir?
Hey there, guys. Hey, this Damien?
Yes, sir. Is this Mr. Lynn Phillips?
No, sir. This is the one and only flag of caution, yellow caution flag, Chris Creighton, and I just wanted to tell you, Damien, I wanted to jump in here real quick before the guest called in and just tell you how awesome it is to have you a part of this team with 110 Nation and YellowCautionFlag.com, and you're doing great, and I love the intro, man. Hopefully you get a lot of good perks on that, and just have a good show, man. Thanks for all that you do.
Hey, thanks for calling in, Chris. Chris Creighton, folks, he is the owner-operator of YellowCautionFlags.com. He is a proud sponsor of this show, so we really want to throw out a big thanks to him for everything that he does for racing and putting me in the position to sit here and talk to you guys. Without him and without the 110 Nation Sports, this show just would not be possible, so we really thank everybody for what you do. All right, let's get right along with the show. Sitting there on the phone with me, we have none other than Mr. Lynn Phillips, owner-promoter of the Talladega Short Track. Lynn, how you doing, sir?
Doing great, Damien. How you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing good. It stopped raining. We've seen the sun for a couple of days here, and the Great Lake of the Midwest.
You guys need the sun. You guys out there really need a lot of sunshine.
I'm telling you what, we got more water up here than we can handle, brother. I mean, we got racetracks here that are just completely underwater at the moment, and a lot of people are really making a big deal about the flooding that's going on now, but I'm a little more worried about what's going to happen come springtime with the ground being so saturated and we get those spring rains. I think we're going to be in for a double whammy here in a couple of months, but only time will tell. All right, man. Well, before we get into the Ice Bowl, let's talk about the tragedy that struck the Talladega Short Track here on New Year's Day. I'm sure everybody.
Well, we had a fire a few days ago, and our main tower and VIP suites and all in concession area burned to the ground, and it was fire marshals told us it was an electrical fire, and came out one of the fuse boxes looked like, but we've got it all cleaned up, and we've got it all cleaned up, and we're going to rise from the ashes, and the Ice Bowl's on go, and we got everything, I think by Tuesday we'll be ready to go, and we'll open gates Thursday and not miss a beat. That's
awesome. Now take me back to New Year's Eve. You get the news, you see the pictures, you're standing there. Was there any thought in your mind as you're watching this landmark burning to the ground that, hey, we may not be able to have the Ice Bowl, or was you nowhere even near that train of thought? Were you automatically thinking, all right, what do we need to do to get this race in?
Well, the latter. What can we do to get it ready? And the next morning, fire marshals did their investigation, and they did it as quickly as they could and completed it, and we signed off, and that allowed us to start the cleanup, and we've been there every day and evening since. And but we have a TV tower down in Turn 4, small, but we moved electronic scoring and PA system and all down there. we replaced our concession stand, main concession, with a concession trailer, but everything's ready to go. We just like a few things, and we'll have, I think, by quitting time Wednesday, we'll be ready to go racing Thursday at noon for practice.
Right on. Right on. Hey, folks, how would you like a chance to go to the Ice Bowl on the house? First caller to give us a call right here at the studio at 718-664-9861. We're going to send you to the Ice Bowl, compliments of Mr. Lynn Phillips and the entire staff down there at the Talladega Short Track. I tell you what, sir, I really appreciate you throwing in a pair of tickets for one lucky fan.
That's no problem. I appreciate the job you guys do with your program out there. You guys are true pros, and we have a lot of people from the upper Midwest and down your way too that come down to the Ice Bowl every year. This is the 25th annual, and it starts Thursday at noon with practice. The gates will open at 9 a.m. Thursday morning. Practice again Friday, and then we've got a lot of racing Saturday and Sunday. So long-range weather forecast looks pretty good, pretty decent.
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking over the classes you're going to run now. You got 6 different classes of car. I mean, super late models. You got $6,000 to win, $500 to start. So that's a pretty good payoff for the first race of the year for those guys. The Neesmith Crate Series, they're going for $3,000 to win, $250 to start. You're also going to be running the Sportsman Limited late models, the Neesmith Street Stocks, the Thunder Cars, and the Hot Shots. If I had to take a guess, I would say Hot Shots are 4-cylinders.
Absolutely. Some of them drive them to the racetrack. They're pretty stock cars.
Yeah, that takes us back to the good old days whenever a lot of guys used to just drive their race car right through the racetrack. I know my Uncle Bob used to have an old 57 Chevrolet that he just put a roll cage in, he knocked the windows out, and drove it about 2.5 miles to the racetrack every night. And if it was able to drive home, he drove her home. If not, he got it towed home.
That's exactly right. Now, I'll tell you, our street stock this year, we're sanctioned by the Neesmith Racing Series. We're paying $2,500 to win the street stocks, and I think it'll draw a lot of cars. And
yeah, I had noticed that myself to pay out for the street stock class. I can't remember personally seeing a street stock purse being so high. So that's really good that you guys are putting the money out there to draw these guys in and keep local racing alive. Now tell us about, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the street stocks here are similar to the IMCA stock cars out in the Midwest.
All right. Now tell us a little bit about this new scoring system you guys just put in.
Well, we've done it for a long time. It's we use Brad Hockaday's group to score our big races, but this got the electronic loop to start-finish line. And, of course, everybody wears the race receivers where we can communicate with drivers about cautions and stuff like that. But this is a great way to score the cars. It's just all done electronically. It's the going thing.
We had talked earlier trying to figure out just exactly how old that stand was. Did you ever get a date? Was it 1985 or 1986 that tower was built?
Yeah, it was built in 1986. It had been remodeled some since then, but it was kind of a landmark. It had Talladega in big letters across the front, and it was 3 stories high. The VIP suites were in the middle, an office upstairs on top, and, of course, the scoring and timing and all that was the PA announcement was all in the top level. And it was a big loss, but we'll rebuild right after the Ice Bowl. We'll get started, and probably all metal this time, but we'll build a big, nice, modern tower and VIP suites and rise from the ashes bigger and better.
And taking a look at some of the past winners of that Ice Bowl, I mean, you're talking 3-time winner Shane Clanton, Ray Cooks won that race a few times, Tim Roswell, Randall Walker, William Thomas, Ross Martin. I mean, the list just goes on. if you had to pick one person this year, who would you say is going to take home that Ice Bowl trophy?
You know, it could be anybody. Ray Cook is strong at Talladega Short Track. William Thomas tested a new Longhorn a few weeks ago, chassis car, and he looked real fast. But you never know. It's running in the daytime, mostly in the daytime. But Sunday afternoon, the feature event will be in the daytime, and the heat races on Saturday are usually in the daytime, in the afternoon. You never know. Somebody will hit the sweet spot on hooking one up, and you never know. It may be the hardest to choose from. I mean, you got your favorites out there, but sometimes we hit Joel Rice won it one year. Nobody had ever heard of him and never heard of him again. He was out of North Carolina. And, you know, it's just big names have won it, little names has won it. It's kind of a unique event. I think every late model driver that comes through the gate thinks he's got a chance to win it, and that's really probably true.
Yeah. Well, we know the Ice Bowl is going to be run the 7th through the 10th. When does regular racing kick off for you guys on a weekly basis down there?
We'll probably start the first week in April. We usually start in March, but I tell you, the weather in the last few years has been so fickle, even in central Alabama. I tell you, I think we'll have a couple of March practices and probably start around the 1st of April, or maybe the last week in March. We'll get our schedule out right after the Ice Bowl, but I tell you, the weather in March in just about any part of the country is just crazy. And,
yeah, especially here in the Midwest. I know we tried to go racing the second week of March last year, and wouldn't you know it, from about the middle of January until opening weekend for us, it was nice, temperatures in the 50s, 60s, and then as soon as race weekend hit, well, Mother Nature decided she wasn't going to play with us. It started snowing, and temperature dropped to about 30 degrees, so yeah, Mother Nature is the biggest interest.
That's right. It's even down here. You can have real cold weather. You can have warm weather. You can have tornadoes in March. We get just about. We've had snow in March, and biggest snow we've ever had in my lifetime came on March the 10th, and we were scheduled to start racing that weekend, and got about 18, 19 inches. Storm of the century, they call it.
Hey, let's go to the phones real quick. I think we have a winner for our tickets. Mark, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good. How you?
Oh, we're just good. Where are you calling from, man?
Brandon, Mississippi.
Yeah. Have you ever been to the Ice Bowl before, Mark?
No, sir.
Well, guess what? You're going this year. Compliments of the man you're on the phone with, Mr. Lynn Phillips. He is the owner-promoter of the Talladega Short Track. Mr. Phillips has been gracious enough to hook us up with a set of tickets, and you are the winner, sir.
All righty. Thank you.
What's your last name, Mark?
Hollinghead.
Okay. We will get those taken care of for you, sir, and your tickets will be available to pick up anywhere at the will call at the racetrack. Just make sure you have your ID with you and enjoy the races. Let us know how they went.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I'll just hang on and let the guys there in the studio get your information and enjoy the races, Mark. Well, how you like that, sir? Somebody else going to be coming out to enjoy the Ice Bowl.
You know, it pays to listen to your racing program.
Yes, it does. Well, folks, 25th Annual Ice Bowl coming up to Talladega Short Track, the 7th through the 10th, 6 exciting classes. Sir, we'd like to thank you very much for being on with us and talking about some racing and talking about things that are going on down in your neck of the woods. And we wish you all the best with the 25th Annual Ice Bowl coming up there at your house at Talladega Short Track.
Well, thank you very much. And folks listening tonight can visit TalladegaShortTrack.com and visit our Facebook page and check up on the latest news about the Ice Bowl and all the information you need.
Absolutely. We will be putting links to all your stuff on our stuff, and we'll make sure we get the word out there, try to put some meat in the seats to make the 25th Ice Bowl as successful as we possibly can, sir. We thank you much and hope you guys have a really good outcome and a real good show for everybody down there.
Thank you very much, Damien. You guys have a good evening.
You too, sir.
Thanks.
Folks, that's Lynn Phillips. That's Lynn Phillips, owner-promoter of the Talladega Short Track. You heard it here. They are full plans to go for the Ice Bowl. I know I personally didn't know if they were going to be able to get it in after the structure fire down there, but them boys have really went above and beyond to make sure that we're going to get this show in. So, all right, let's flip the script and do some open wheel racing. Let's head down under. We're going to be talking with Mr. Zach Daum. How you doing this evening, sir?
Oh, pretty good. How are you?
Oh, we're dry. That's a plus, but I know you live over in Pocahontas, Illinois. Do you guys suffer any flood damage over there that you know of? I know you've been in New Zealand for a few weeks.
Yeah, I think roads have flooded. The backyard was a little flooded. Basement leaks a little bit, but nothing that ain't we can't deal with. So there's a lot of other people in a lot worse situations. So it's just a horrible deal there. Just too much water in a short amount of time.
Yeah, we definitely got a lot of it. I know Tri-City's underwater, I-55's underwater, Highland was underwater. The usual tracks that have some kind of a drainage issue with that much rain. I don't know if you've seen pictures from Tri-City, but pretty much from turns 1 to turns 2, front stretch to back stretch was underwater. So I'm hoping the spring rains after this big of a saturation don't hinder the kickoff of the racing season too bad for us around here. Let's talk about you, man.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your first trip to New Zealand. How'd that work out for you?
It's been great. We're heading to the airport here in about an hour to head back home. So the weather's been awesome. The racing's been good. I mean, we ran fourth 3 times. The other 2 nights we had mechanical issues and didn't get to finish. So we really started to get the ball rolling the final night there. We tried some different stuff to get me comfortable in the car. And we started 16th and ended up 4th. So we weren't terrible. We had things are a little bit different than when I run back home, so it just took a little bit to get used to.
What's the bigger differences between running down there versus running back here?
The biggest thing for me was just the different car and the motor combination. Everything I've been running has been the Toyota with an Eagle for the last couple of years, and we've really been fine-tuning that package. We feel like we can roll into anywhere, and we can, be a top 5 car. And so when we work on that one package, it's what I'm used to, that feeling, where all drivers look for a certain feeling in their butt. And,
right.
It's just one thing we struggled a little bit to get, but, there for the last night we got it and we were pretty good. The track was really, really rough. We turned over a lot of cars, tore up a lot of equipment. So, it's kind of a survival race. Had to be smart enough to finish the race. And
right.
So we put 50 laps together, and we were still too tight at the end of the race. So that was we could have been a little bit freer, and I think we'd have been a little bit better. But it's just part of it. First trip down here, so they're already talking about building another car, another motor, and to come back down next year. So that's just a great deal to meet the people, and and the car owner was happy and wants to, more than anything, he was happy and wants me to come back. So, to me that means more than anything, just because you didn't piss anybody off or you get your name drug through the dirt. So.
Yeah, that's always good when the car owner's happy. Car owner's happy, you're happy. Let's talk about Toyota's transition into open wheel racing. I know it raised a lot of eyebrows when Toyota announced they were going to throw their hat into the ring. And with you being with Team Toyota for a couple of years now, do you guys swap information? Do you go back and forth between the other teams and kind of, break down what you've learned, or is it pretty much every man for themselves trying to figure out how to get the handle on this?
The motor builders, they talk. The 2 biggest engine builders is Speedway Engines out of Indianapolis, and then Gary Stanton and Stanton Engines out of Kentucky. And Stanton does my motors. They've done Tracy Hines' motors, Wilkie Pack's motors. And everybody says we've struggled. We don't have the power that Keith Kunz has, and I'm calling hocus pocus bullshit on it. Their cars work a lot better. Or their cars are working better than anybody else's right now. And in a midget, if your car is working, it makes your motor look incredibly better.
Right.
We've got our car now working really well, and we've built a new motor. We've changed a little bit of cam. We've changed a little bit in the cam and a little bit injection-wise. And, the last couple of races there we ran at the end of the year with the new motor, we were really, really good. We beat Tannery and KT at Macon with it. We won, and they ran second and third, and they both said, we weren't going to beat you. So, we kind of ended our season early. We didn't go out to Turkey Night this year, so didn't really get to see what we could do on a big track compared to them, because that's where they really seem to shine. But,
right.
Everybody, right now I'm running down here in New Zealand. I've ran a W9 Mopar that if you take it back home, nobody would ever run it. They think it's all outdated, hocus. And we drove by Toyotas, S-Slingers. We drove by a lot of good cars and good motors last night. So the whole motor, it's overrated is what it is for people to say you got to have a Toyota to win. You got to have this, you got to have that. No, you just got to have something that drives, and you got to have a good car. These people that complain that their motors don't run as good as a Toyota, but their drive line's bound up and they ain't put grease in their bird cages, and that you can't move the car with a Mack truck. Well, that's why you're not winning races, because your maintenance program ain't there.
Right. Yeah, half the battle is won off the racetrack at home in the garage before you ever get your car and unload it at the track.
Yep.
Now,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. You're a Midwestern guy. We're based right here out of the St. Louis area, and last week we tried to tell people, that listen all over the world, just how tough the racing here is in the Midwest area. You're back-to-back power ride, midget champion, and as I was looking through your stats, and I found this kind of shocking, but you started racing at the age of 5, and you ran basically quarter midgets, micro sprints, sprint cars, Silver Crown stuff. Man, you have 24 championships since the age of 5 in all forms of racing. What bit you with the racing bug so early on?
My dad raced late models a little bit, and he wasn't any good, but he tried and he had fun. And we grew up at the racetrack, so I think they had the quarter midgets were on display at Highland one night. They might have ran around the infield or on the front stretch or something, and I seen it. I wanted to do it, and I told my dad, and of course he said, well, let's try it. Well, we gave it a go, and we liked it. So, and ever since then, we've wasted a lot of money and spent a lot of time together. So, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing at times, but it kept me out of trouble growing up, and it just gave me something that I can still. It could put me on a path on an early in life to potentially make a living at, or give you something to do with your time and your life. So, it's been a lot of fun, and it's just something I want to continue doing until I'm 55 or 65, for that matter.
Now, let's say, the age of 55, 60 comes along. Where do you see yourself then? Do you see yourself just stepping away from racing, which I highly doubt, since you have been in it for 50 years at that point? Do you see yourself in a car owner role or somewhere in that area?
Hopefully I'm dead by then, because it hurts to get out of bed nowadays. So I don't know what I'm going to feel like when I'm 55 or 60. But, I don't know. It's something. I took a big crash in April, and I didn't get to race for 3 months, and I got to sit around and think about a lot of different stuff there, and I've contemplated the dirt late model deal again. We ran a crate late model for a year. I've contemplated a lot of different things, and I think open wheel racing, especially non-wing stuff, you don't live to be old doing it. You just too many bumps on the head. It's rough. It's tumble. It's a non-wing sprint car. You spend more time trying to keep it on all four wheels than you do trying to make a circle. I mean, they're bad vehicles. So, I think you're going to reach a potential there age-wise. I don't know what the number is, but I think then if I'm still wanting to go racing, I'll probably switch to stock cars. Switch back to like a dirt late model type setup, or become a car owner. That's something it's a totally different mindset when you become a car owner compared to a racer. But if you can find the funding to do it, that's especially if you can get a young kid that you really want to work with, or shows up and is a gasser. I think it would be a good time, be something different to do.
Now let's talk a little bit of Chili Bowl. We got Chili Bowl coming up here in just a couple of weeks. And, out of the last 6 years, you qualified for this race 4 times, and you even managed to pick up a preliminary night win a few years ago. Dude, what is it about the Chili Bowl that it just makes it the Daytona 500 of dirt racing? I mean, you've lived it, you've been there, in your opinion, what is it about that race?
It's not one thing. It's the whole package. It's one of the things. It's the hardest thing in racing to describe. I've been to a lot of different races, been to a lot of different events, and the Chili Bowl itself is just the mecca of dirt racing, I think, especially open wheel racing. The Dream in the World and the Knoxville Nationals. Those are events, and the Chili Bowl is an event. They've made it that.
That's one of those races where the driver probably couldn't tell you how much it pays to win. They don't care. They just want the prestige and the trophy.
If it paid a bag of peanuts, we'd all still be there. I mean, that's just we want the golden driller.
Peanuts are bad luck at a racetrack, buddy.
I ain't superstitious, so. But
yeah,
it
goes from just the list of people that come from all different walks of motorsports to try to make this race. For me, anytime you can go to a race where you've got IndyCar guys, you've got NASCAR guys, you've got NHRA guys, you've got open wheel regulars, dirt regulars, and they're all competing for this trophy, and the thing that really gets me is you get really outside of the Midwest and people that aren't familiar with dirt racing, and they don't even know what the Chili Bowl is, and it just blows my mind.
Yeah. We deal with that on a daily basis. We'll be at the car wash after a race one night, and a guy will roll up and say, "What is that?" And we say, "A midget."
Yeah.
And they just look at us like we're stupid. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, as it comes to the prestige of this race, do you guys actually go as far as to take all year to prepare, one car just for this week? Do you prepare 2 cars? What's the mental angle preparing for this?
I have my personal, and the only time it ever gets ran is the Chili Bowl car. It's a lightweight. Everything on it is lightweight. I can't cut any more weight off of it, becoming unsafe, which we've contemplated. But it's just what's going in, what it's drawn out to be is, I don't know if a good thing or a bad thing anymore, is it's so big now that we're all having to spend a lot of money on lightweight frames, lightweight cars, lightweight this, lightweight that, just to win the Chili Bowl. And I kind of wish they'd implement some rules, even a weight rule just to kind of keep us on the right package. But, then again, that's not the Chili Bowl then. So, it is kind of is what it is. And we're all still just trying to, win a driller.
Yeah, and that's exactly what everybody's out there for. It's a sold out show every year. It's harder to get tickets to the Chili Bowl than it is the Bristol. And that's what people don't understand, especially on the pavement side. of motorsports. This race is that big. I mean, people prepare all year for this. There are people that don't race. They don't turn one lap all year long. They wait for this week, and they put everything they've got. They work all year, save their money, and put it into this one car for this one race. And if they make it, they don't. If they do, that's their year for them. And that's how some people look at this race. I mean, it is their year. Like Tony Stewart said it best, this is my Daytona 500.
Yeah. Oh, it's insane, and then what I tell people is you can't really describe it anymore than you have to experience it, because it's so hard to describe the feeling of being at the racetrack when the A main rolls off, or being on the ramp when the A main rolls down, and it's like that every night, even every prelim night's that way, and
right.
And then by Saturday, it's you can't even push your car down the ramp because there's so many people, and it's crazy. It's just to see that many people from that many walks of life. To that many, there's late model fans, stock car fans, pavement fans, midget fans, sprint car fans. You name it, they're there. And then you throw in a Tony Stewart name, and then you throw in an IndyCar guy, and you throw in an NHRA guy. It just, then you get all those fans, and it just keeps building and building and building, and it's so hard to, and it's so hard to compete there. So, it's just a fun atmosphere to be a part of.
Have you got the chance to see the entry list this year? We're talking 335 entries so far. I mean, 34 states represented, 5 countries represented. I mean, it's going to be another killer all-star lineup this year, as usual, for the 30th annual Philly Bowl. And man, just getting a chance to talk with drivers that have been there multiple times, have had success, and just to hear them talk about how amazing it is, and how I've never been able to talk to one person yet that could actually say, you know what, this is what it is, this is how it is. Everybody, you can't. They always say you can't put it into words, and to me, that's the best form of advertisement you can get for anything.
Yeah. Oh, I agree 100% on that. It's what I tell people is if you're gonna go, you don't go to the Chili Bowl unless you can go every year, because once you go once, you can't not go again.
Yeah, it's like a late potato chip. You can't do it just one.
Yeah, it's like a Pringles. You can't just eat one.
Well, Zach, I really appreciate you being on the show, sir. And, man, all the best of the luck in the Chili Bowl. I'd like to keep in touch with you. Let us know how you do down there. We'll be keeping our eye on you. And hope you have safe travels coming home tomorrow, sir. Well, for you today, sir.
Yeah, we leave here on a Monday at 7:45 p.m. and we get back home into St. Louis at Monday at 11 p.m. So we don't really lose anything.
How many stops you gonna have to make? Do you know yet?
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, hey, best of luck down in Tulsa, and we will definitely be in touch with you. And I hope you have a really good and productive year, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Not a problem. Folks, that's Zach Daum on his way home from New Zealand. He's going to be landing back here in the States sometime tomorrow. He spent his first summer or his first winter down in New Zealand doing some racing. Sounds like things went pretty good for him, learned some things. But hopefully next year will be a little bit better for him. All right, let's get on to tech tips. Let's talk about tires. Why are we talking about tires? Well, in any form of motorsports, that's what's going to win you the race, if you can take care of your tires. You're going to need a driver. One, it's not going to blow the tires off on a slick racetrack. And two, you're going to have to be able to save a little something for the end and make that charged up to the front, or to hold off everybody else that's already took care of their tires. How can you do that? Swindell Bleeders. Check this out. I'm sure somebody or all of you have had something happen with your bleeder. Valve stuck, tire go flat, didn't bleed off at all. Tire just got hotter and hotter and hotter until it just bubbled up and blew up. Well, Jeff Swindell, back in 2011, started the Swindell Group, and they decided they was going to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. What they've done is they've taken a bleeder and they've made an all electronically controlled tire pressure management system. Now, what this is going to allow you to do, pretty much simple. Got it in your computer, program it in there. Where you want your tire pressure to start versus where you want it to finish, pretty much going to be the same. Well, that's what this does. It keeps your tire pressure equal from start to middle to end of race. They have a video up on their webpage you can look at. About a 3 or 4 minute video. I think it's probably a hot lap session or a quick heat race in a sprint car. You look at this video, and one of them is running a Swindell Bleeder, and one of them isn't. And it's monitoring their tire pressure the entire time. And what happens is your Swindell Bleeder, it stays perfectly within a half a pound of where you wanted it to go. So say you wanted to start 8 pounds left rear for a feature. When you get off the racetrack, your left rear tire is still going to be right at 8 pounds. It's pretty impressive to watch, actually. Scott Gerken, you might remember him. He was, I think, 6 or 7 championships. He says these are the best things that come along since breast implants. So if that's not a better form of advertising, I don't know what is. But hey, I'm just blowing smoke. You want to talk to the man who really knows about them? Jeff, welcome to the show, buddy. How you doing?
Outgone after being over at the shootout all week.
I'm sorry. I only caught the last little second of that, bud. What'd you say?
Oh, I'm sorry. I said my voice is about gone. I've been at the shootout all week, and kind of wears your sinuses out over there.
How'd that go, man? Over 1,300 cars, couple nights of racing. I mean, how insane was that?
Man, that's a lot of cars and that's a lot of racing. I forget how many hundreds of races they ran, but it was over 300 races I think they ran in 3 days, and it's just amazing. But had a lot of fun. Got to meet a lot of new people. It's the first time I've ever been to a shootout, and we got to do some testing with our new Micro 600 bleeder. It ain't got all the kinks worked out of it yet, but it did okay, and I just got to make a few adjustments on it and changes here and there, and we'll get the sensor kind of dialed in. Those real high 16,000 RPM motors and the chain drive and all that was kind of giving my sensor a little crazy fits, but we'll get it figured out.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Is that atmosphere down there anything like the Chili Bowl, or is it?
Oh yeah, I mean you're talking kind of the same type deal, really. I mean, there's a lot of good racers over there, and you know, I haven't been around the 600s very much, other than racing with them here and there. You know, when we run sprint car somewhere and they're running with us, but just hadn't never really paid a lot of attention to them and hadn't been close to them. But shoot, those things are an identical car to what we got, basically, just a smaller version of it, and a lot of real smart guys and a lot of real good race car drivers in that whole field there.
Yeah, definitely the future of your sport right there. We're going down there and watching the shootouts. And I know Brady Bacon spanked them last night for his third driller. I wasn't there to see it, but I heard he really put it on him.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I finally got out of there, I don't know, about 9:30 or something last night. And kind of missed the last shows there. But the sinuses were just done. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Take us back to 2011, whenever you got the idea to start the Swindell group. What was the thought behind that?
Well, basically, I'd gotten a patent on my first invention, that the timing tool for the magnetos, and basically you can pretty much anybody can set a magneto in the car and put it in just a matter of minutes and hit the timing mark right on the money. So when I got that patented, then that's where the Swindell group started, and then we were racing on the road there in 2011 full time with ASCS, and I'd been running around home a little bit the last few years before that, and and just really didn't have a lot of help. I had a friend of mine helping me that go on the road with me that, you know, been around racing a long time, and then my 11-year-old son at the time. So we just kept fighting the bleeder situation all the time, and trying to do most all the setup and the major portion of the maintenance myself, and it was just way too much to try to keep up with. And then, you know, you work on them as hard as you can, and you can't ever get them to act just right. And then so I just kind of got tired of the situation, really. So I just started trying to figure out a way to get it done, to make it electronic and make it very plain and simple that anybody could set the bleeder and not have to worry about it, and with some accuracy. And so worked on it for a while, ordered a lot of pieces and parts and tested a lot of different things, and finally the first one I put together, we started running it, and I'd sneak it out in my uniform, and then when nobody's looking, I'd shove it in the right rear and put the hubcap on so nobody could know what we had there until I got the patents all filed on it. Once I got the first one done and saw that it worked and how easy it worked, I knew this was going to be a hit.
Now, anybody that's been involved in, especially dirt racing, knows that, and especially left, right, rear, when they heat up, they build that air pressure. And I think everybody that's ran has had some kind of bleeder issue at one point or another, where it sticks wide open and you get a flat tire, and it doesn't bleed off at all, and you blow the tire out. What is it about your setup that is fail-proof? I saw the video where you had, like, I don't know if it was a hot lap session or a quick heat race, but you had one camera on the Swindell Bleeder, what it was reading, and you had another one that didn't run the Swindell Bleeder, and the results were instantaneous just to look at. Within a lap and a half, you could see that the tire that didn't run it was already gained maybe 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds of air pressure, where the Swindell Bleeder was constantly doing its job. I mean, what makes your product so fail-safe?
Well, I mean, it's digital, so I mean, it's going to do exactly what it tells you to do. And with our bleeder, we're not relying on a diaphragm, which is a gradual progression, where when your pressure goes over 1/10 of a pound or less, then it's got electromagnetic solenoid, so it opens wide open. So it blows through the line as hard as you can blow through it. So I mean, it'll keep it right on. I mean, really, really right on the money. The only variance is that the load pressures on the tire get in and out of the corner and down the straightaway. Which so basically, what we learned with the videos is that we get about 0.3 of a pound load getting in the corner, and then when you come off the corner, the tire expands and the volume gets greater in the tire when the tire gets so much bigger going on the straightaway. So you actually go down to about 2 to 0.3 below your desired number going on the straightaway. So we've learned a lot with that video. And that video out there you were speaking of was actually a 10-lap heat race at Devil's Bowl earlier last year. And that was 2 outlaw cars. And the secondary car, without the Swindell Bleeder hooked up, was actually an outlaw team that run the wheel bleeders, the regular pocket bleeders, and they had them in. And when they got back to the trailer, they went out with 9 pounds, and he run up to second and was chasing the leader, about to get by the leader, and then by the end of the race, he almost run fourth, then backed up so much. Come in, they checked the air pressure, and it was 9.3, so it was only 0.3 above his desired setting, which, you know, in all reality, that's what we would have thought, that would have been pretty close setting with your bleeder. Then we go back and look at the video and find out that it was almost 4.5 pounds high by the end of the race. So even with a diaphragm bleeder in it, to whereas Sammy had mine in and had it plugged in, and he went out with 8, and it ran around 8.3 to 7.8 the whole race, basically stayed within that half-pound range. And by the time he got back in and checked his, the same 2 minutes from the checker flag, his was about 6/7 low, which is what it should do. I mean, you're going to get the cooling effect when you get off the gas and start slowing down. So, you know, it's just very, very accurate. If your right rear tire ever comes in at the pressure or above the pressure you had set, then you just really don't know how high that thing was on the racetrack.
I saw you guys have been doing a little bit of late model testing as well. How's that going? You guys getting close to having something set up for the full body cars?
Yeah, we've got a finished product basically. After the Chili Bowl, I got a few design changes I want to make just for aesthetics, and the mounting system I'm going to change on it, make it just a little bit easier to pop off and on by hand, hopefully with no tools. But no, that's gone great. We came up and tested in Pennsylvania a few months ago with Jeff Ryan, and ran 3 different racetracks up there, and one of them was the Outlaw Show. He started at the back of that and came to the front by the end of it, and that's pretty good with the Outlaw guys for a local guy. Jeff and them were great to work with. We learned a lot. We got camera footage of all of it. We got a camera now that we put in the hubcap that'll actually it faces the bleeder, and so you can actually watch your pressure during the whole race. I mean, we can, anybody can put one of these in now, and they can tell exactly what their own tires are doing.
You guys don't sound like you're very far from reinventing the wheel, man.
Well, it's taken off, and it's done real well. I'm very blessed to have stumbled upon it. I guess you keep trying, and you finally come up with something. There's a lot of things on sprint cars that I actually designed and developed that are still on every one of them out there right now, from 20, 30 years ago. But nobody really thinks about it or really even knows about most of it. But this is one I couldn't pass up and let go and hand over to the manufacturers. I knew this was going to be a pretty good little deal. So just very blessed that we got this going. It's going real well. We did go down to Charlotte and ran the late model bleeders on Schatz' car all weekend at the World Finals, and he was tickled to death with them. It went really, really well, and he did a hell of a good job down there being a darn old sprint car guy. That's a bunch of good late model guys.
Yeah. I've got to see him wheel a late model a few times, and I think that guy can drive anything. But, like you were saying, people have had a lot of success with bleeders. I mean, you guys go down to Volusia, you sweep the Volusia, you fill the podium at the All-Star races. I mean, what Darren Pittman was able to accomplish while running Swindell Bleeders. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Your product works, man. Where can people go and get this if, they want to try your product?
You can go to jeffswindell.com or send me an email at info@jeffswindell.com. or message me on Facebook, Jeff Swindell, or go to Swindell Bleeders Facebook page. That's where you can find all the different videos with the late models and the sprint cars. And then there's the sprint car comparison we were talking about. There's also a sprint car video up where they left and a right there in a full feature with another Outlaw car, and it shows the full effects of cool down and how much pressure you can lose due to that. Red flags and yellows and all that, and how it comes back. So, we got all our instructions and everything up on the Swindell Bleeders page. So, I'm easy to find. We're just trying to get all the new parts and pieces done and get the micro stuff done and get the midget stuff done this week for the Chili Bowl next week.
And you guys pretty much full board just on the bleeders? You guys working on anything else you got hidden up your sleeve?
I got a board full of stuff actually. I got let me see. I got 15 pretty good projects on the board right now outside of the bleeders. So we've decided to.
You had talked about implementing things, as far back as 20, 25 years ago in sprint cars that are still, in use to this day. I mean, elaborate on that a little bit. What have you contributed to this sport as far as then to now?
Well, probably the most prominent thing that's on every car out there is the radiator guard. Before that, we all used to run shaker screens, and to keep the mud out of the radiator, and they would fill up with mud all the time, and then you'd run hot. Sammy started working on something to combat that. I mean, I guess that started the things clicking, so I started working on it. He had a lower guard that come up under the frame rails in front of the axle, and it worked good, but it got knocked off all the time. They had a lot of problems with knocking off tires and curbs and cushions and everything. So they got away from that. And then I was driving for Gil Suter out in Phoenix, running Manzanita weekly, and so I got some time to do some testing during the week and some work, and I come up with the radiator guard. Mine actually came over the front of the axle. It had a lip on it that came up and over the axle. It was really the only difference from what they are right now.
Right.
We got it to working. We did some comparison, and I mean, even without any mud in them, we dropped the temperature in the car 20 degrees with no mud at all in the old shaker screen. So the flow was unbelievable. And we showed up at an Outlaw show in Denver, I think, where we hooked up with the Outlaws, and everybody come over looking at that thing. Carl Kinzer come over and looked at it. Next thing you know, it's all the chassis manufacturers are putting it in every car, and so that's where that thing originated. The interior wing slider, we did that up in Pennsylvania on the Weicker car when I built that thing that winter. Carl was the original guy to put a slider on, put an adjustable hydraulics on the wing, and then I went in and we put the interior stuff in, the sliders, got rid of the rails and everything hanging out from underneath the wing, which you don't see any rails under the wings no more. So we started that with the Weicker car. That car was very well documented by Open Wheel. We had like a 6-page spread on that car. There was a lot of things on that car. Had the Zeus-in gauge panel. We had the radiator actually mounted on the car, and I mean, we could change the motor in that thing 8 minutes easy, no problem, and have it crank back up. I don't know.
Like there's quite a bit of innovation in the sprint car history.
Well, I mean, you do it to make your stuff better is what you do, and that's all I've ever done before. And never really looked into the thought of, I was just a racer. I never really thought about business-wise. And,
right.
So the older I get, I guess the more you think about things like that. The universal seat mounts and the shoulder mount system I came up with back in 2011. And J&J and Maxim and most of the chassis builders are offering that now. And a lot of the guys are going to that. I mean, you see it, at every racetrack just about it now. So it's, that's not...
With you being such a big advocate on car setup, car safety, and ways to improve in the sport in general, let me ask you this. And this is a question that I've been asking for a few years, but you see more and more with the milling down of these cars. I mean, everybody just milling anything they can to save literally ounces of weight to try to be just a little bit better than the next guy. I mean, is there a point where you got to stop that, or do you think it's going to get to the point where it's just out of control?
Well, I don't think it's as much of a problem as it used to be, because once they implemented the weight rule, that took a lot of that issue out, and I think that's one of the best things that they've ever done in the last 20 years as far as rules, because that okayed everybody to put that big heavy containment seat in the car.
Right.
Because now we were underweight. I'm not so sure they couldn't add a little bit more to it and make it a little more fair for the big old heavy boys like Steve Kinzer and Johnny Herrera. I seen a picture of both of them the other day put together. They're part of the gray man group that I like to call us all. But the big boys. Nobody in the stands knows if that thing's 1,300 pounds or 1,700 pounds, so why are they going to carry it? It doesn't really matter. So it's all about safety and the rules, putting in the weight rules and stuff is one of the greatest things that happened. That's probably saved a lot of people from getting hurt just by being able to add the full containment seats in the cars and not have to worry about that extra weight. The guys don't have to work too hard now to get weight. Anything rotating, you're going to try to get down. Anything way out, like the outer edges of the wheels and stuff like that, the big rotating weights you're going to want to try to get rid of. But and anything way up on the car you want to try to get rid of. But other than that, it's not that critical. A guy can go buy a a nice stock roller somewhere, and he can compete anywhere. You know, I mean, that's the thing about it nowadays. You can buy anything off the shelf that'll actually do the job if you got somebody smart enough and you buy a good motor to go with it.
All right. Hey, let's talk 2016. What's this year going to hold in store for you as far as racing goes? You going to race kind of close to home? You going to do some touring this year?
No, we're off the tour. I got off that last year. We've run the ASCS last several years and just decided we don't want to do that deal anymore. And the bleeder sales and business got really big last year, and so we got real busy with that. I only ran 2 races after Knoxville last year, so that was a change after running full time basically the last 5 years. So we're gonna build bleeders, and then my car owners are from around here locally anyway, and they don't hardly get to travel go see the race cars, so probably try to run around here a little more often, and then just maybe pick and choose a few of the bigger races to go hit, and whenever we got time we'll go race, and when we don't we'll work.
Yeah, I hear that. And Jeff, I want to thank you very much for being on the Horsepower Hour here, and we're going to definitely get all the links to your social media up for everybody. If they want to check out Swindell Bleeders, they will definitely be able to find you. And wish your product a lot of success down the Chili Bowl, but it's already a proven winner, so I would only bet to say that the winner's probably going to be running the Swindell Bleeder.
Well, we sure hope so. So very, very tickled with all the people that have put their trust in our product, and hopefully we can keep making good products for everybody. And I appreciate you having me on.
Hey, not a problem, Jeff. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Folks, that is Jeff Swindell, the Swindell Group, the man who came up with apparently a whole lot more than just the Swindell Bleeder, as we found out. I myself didn't know a little bit about just how much that man has implemented into the operation of a sprint car from versus 25 years ago to now that is still in play. So you learn something new every day. So we're going to have links up for everything we covered on the show tonight. You can catch those on yellowcautionflag.com, or you can go to 110 Nation Sports, pick it up there, or you can go to the Midwest Horsepower Hour on Facebook. We're going to have links to everything up there. Pretty good show. Pretty happy with it. All our guests were able to make it on tonight, so I want to thank everybody for that. I want to thank Mr. CJ Sports for manning the phone lines and the board for me. Mr. Chris Creighton, our sponsor at yellowcautionflag.com, for calling in, saying hey. Next week, folks, we're going to dive into this Chili Bowl theme just a little bit deeper as we get closer. Kick-ass lineup for next, already confirmed, and actually, if I sounded a little bit excited today, it's because I was, because less than 30 minutes before we went on the air, I got confirmation from both. Double D Dave Darland's going to join us next week as he's on his way to Tulsa to run the Chili Bowl. And we're going to talk a little bit of racing history with him and the success he's had with USAC and what his take on the pursuit of the Golden Driller is. Also, guess what? You're not going to believe who else we're going to have on the show next week. Mr. Brady Bacon, the man who just spanked total ass last night and picked up his third Golden Driller, is going to come on and tell us all about his run last night at the Tulsa Shootout. So for everybody at the Midwest Horsepower Hour, yellowcautionflag.com, sorry, Chris, and everybody over at the 110 Nation Sports side of things, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Keep your elbows up and that right rear in the cushion. Bye.